Greetings, scale modelers, and welcome to another quick and dirty build and review. This episode is going to focus on the Tamiya 700 scale USS Enterprise CV-6, hero of World War II, so many battles. It missed Pearl Harbor by crazy luck. It was one of the many heroes of Battle of Midway. It just goes on and on. This kit is going to be a July of 1944 edition post-Midway, so the air group is going to reflect that. But, I mean, this kit, what a legend. In fact, I have attempted my first ocean diorama with this build. So let's get into this thing and just have some Tamiya fun and get down to business. The instruction sheet is clear, well drawn, easy to follow, and it kind of goes in like 6 different phases. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's probably better that it's just like a 6-phase kind of deal rather than having 48 individual assembly steps. And with a lot of this, you know, when you attach which parts during the phase, doesn't really matter so much. Like, one phase is not dependent upon the other so much as it could be with a different kind of kit. So the parts were well labeled. Didn't have any confusion at all with the parts. I would have liked a little more detailed painting guide, but it did make me do internet research, which was fun to do. But the paint guide was just real basic bare bones. But overall, easy to use, easy to understand, and well, it helped me get the damn thing built, so I think it works well enough. Message from the future. This is what I like to do for you scale modelers so you don't make the same fuck-ups that I make, okay? So this thing is designed to have gaps under the flight deck, and I thought this was some kind of flaw that I needed to fix. So what I did was I clamped the shit out of this flight deck and let it dry overnight, and it's not supposed to be that way. And therefore, look at how warped that thing is in spots, because I thought it was a mistake that there was a gap under the flight deck. It should be there, okay? So let that thing sit the way it's supposed to naturally sit, and don't fuck it up like I did, okay? Good message from the future. Keeping in mind that this Enterprise is not going to be the Enterprise that came off the showroom lot in Newport News, I sentimentally like how dark and ugly this looks, because it looks like the Enterprise should have looked after getting beat up and shot up. But to match up with like the box in the sunlight like that, I gotta do an airbrush coat of really lighter medium blue, and then hopefully get some of this darkness to pop out underneath it. And I also, before I'm going to thin out the airbrush paint, I'm going to paint my mix over this and touch up the waterline flat black that you can see leaking out from the masking tape right there. So I'm going to put that on full strength to cover up my goof. And then after that, I'm going to get some brighter colors in there to get kind of like a sun faded medium blue on my vertical parts of the ship. All right, I have covered up my boo-boos with the flat black, and that's a nicely beaten up looking Enterprise hull right there. So I mean, you got some of that wear and tear look going on. And well, I'm going to add the rust last, but here's what I've got. And I would have gone a little bit thinner with the paint, because like on the other things, it just completely covered everything and didn't get enough of these dark accents through there. But I may hit those with Vallejo thinned out primer to do more weathering later on. But I'm ready for assembly. Now, the instructions specify a deck tan, but a little bit of research on CV-6, there was a dark blue stain, and then it weathered to a muddy brown. So I did clear blue, flat black, and medium blue just to get this slightly darker shade. So it's about like the old, you know, like the Arizona paint job. You just imagine a warehouse of 1 million cans of paint where they use the same thing on everything. And that's kind of about that dark blue color that they did. And Hornet had the same thing as well. Okay, what you see here is after one light coat of my homemade dark blue, which again is clear blue, Tamiya medium blue, like you'd paint an early Hellcat with, and flat black, a couple drops of that, and you can see how the Vallejo primer is shining through in spots. And so this is a more nuanced job than I'm usually doing, but it's got that dark blue stain, you know, like my research has brought up, and also too the filthiness of the black primer showing. And then I'm going to do a light coat of that deck tan to reflect the wear that they're talking about. But this is already getting a bit of nuance to it, which is better than what I'm usually doing. I'm just kind of a flat one color primary kind of guy, and this has got a little more nuance that I'm seeing to it. Well, one way to skin this cat for the deck white stripes could have been for me to just, you know, do 2 long lines and freehand with a white paint marker, but I want to try the airbrush approach this time. So I got about 10 miles of masking tape on here, and right along here the island is here, so I'm going to have to angle out with a separate line. And so I'm not going to paint this part right now, but I'm going to get these other ones done, and then I'll figure out this part next, because it needs to curve around the island. So boy, that's a ton of tape. Okay, here's my flight deck stripe job so far. This is close enough. I'm going to leave that as is. And I think this may be the first A- I've ever got on a mask job. I'm a sloppy masker, so for me these are pretty sharp results. As you know, I'm just trying to improve. In my number 9, you know, the flight deck is really worn, so I think I'm going to hang in there with what I got, because that if you have a really sharp black number on there, then it doesn't look realistic, because, you know, you've had hundreds of sorties flew over the thing, and it probably ought to look more like it looks right now than, you know, like a clean, to me, a flat black. So I think my 9's coming along. I gotta remask the number before I start doing more weathering over these white stripes. So these white stripes are a little too showroom fresh for realism. But so far this flight deck is looking good. If you have a better strategy, please post in the comments. But what I'm going to do for these machine guns, I'm going to put a little dab of white glue, and in my case Elmer's, but other people make it. It's like using the term Kleenex. Get off my fucking back. Anyway, I'm going to put a dab of that on there on each of these, and I'm going to touch it up with, to me, a flat white, which is what I airbrushed these machine gun spots. I'm getting down to the final details here. I still have to, I got to cut the little wires and do about 3 dozen little machine gun barrels on there. And, well, obviously I got to take that masking tape off. And the island looks pretty damn good. And so I'm going to look up some other builds, like guys that did larger scale enterprises, and see if I can pick up a few more details that I want to add on, and then get ready to start weathering the hull with some rust and all that good shit and get this thing done. I also got some wood for a diorama base, so I might try to put this on the ocean rather than just have it sitting on my tabletop. So I might do an ocean diorama, but I haven't gotten that far yet, and I still got to figure out what I'm going to do to make ocean water. So I have some more studying to do, but this build is really coming together nice. And that island was a joy to put together. The Tamiya fit and finish, quite good. Let's get a look at this flight group. We got the TBF Avengers in the back, and the Curtis Helldivers to the fore. And I've got 2 of the Helldivers below decks with the wings folded, you know, getting refitted and rearmed. And there's one of those in the front. God, I wish I I want to get a lighting kit for this to show those planes because it just looks so good. But building in the 700 scale is really good. I don't have a big workshop, and just for a desktop deal, this 700 scale doing the Waterline series is a real joy. And all right, so I got 4 Corsairs and 4 Hellcats, and boy, this has just been, look at this thing. This baby is beautiful. The Gray Ghost. So Sunday morning I went to Millen's Hardware and got some pine board, and I got a 3-step strategy here for my diorama. I am going to trace the hull onto there, and I'm going to try some plaster of Paris, act like I'm frosting a cake basically to get some Pacific Ocean happening there, and then have fun airbrushing the daylights out of it and see if I can get some oceanic goodness. And just with a clean pine board, it looks better than most of my builds, just because my my desk is pretty beat up, as you can tell. Some plaster of Paris, smooth and creamy, just like frosting a cake. So actually, this is kind of encouraging. I might be onto something here, but oh, it's messy as hell. And boy, if there's got to be a smart way to do it. But guess which way I did it? I messed up a $50 t-shirt already. And anyway, you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. But here's my ocean. Like it. All right, here's Project Enterprise Ocean. With the cake frosting has been spread out, and I'm taking a spoon wetted down with some hot water and smoothing it over and doing some spoony love on that. And there's my there's the spot where the Enterprise shall soon be, and I'm going really thin right there, and I might be able to get some waves up around the ship, but I think overall this is going to have a decent look to it. It already does now, but I'm smoothing it down, kind of wetting it down. And this is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm having fun learning a new thing. I got some diluted flat white that I'm hitting some of the wave tops with. You know, like ocean tiny bubbles, like the Don Ho Classic. And then I'm going over all of this with some clear blue. I'm having as much fun with this diorama ocean as I did with the build, and that's really saying something. Well, it's just because I figured out something new. Okay, there we go. After a couple of tries with my crack pipe lighter, I got the guitar string impaled into the bottom fuselage of the Hellcat, and I'm going to heat up the other end and jab it into the flight deck, and voila, we got a plane taking off. CV-6 is such a legend, people. And this kit was just a lot of fun to build. You know, it was just fun to put together. Things fit together great. The island came together without a hitch. I had practice building the Hornet, which is one of its classmates. But the Enterprise build, just a joy. And if you haven't tried this one, I recommend it. This one's looking pretty good. And take a look at that ocean. That's on the first try. That came out pretty darn good. All right, so this has been another quick and dirty building review, and thanks for watching.